Hi, my name is Mikkel Hales. I am presenting my oral report for my research project for English 2010. I chose this topic for my service learning partner for researching more about what causes deterioration in families, as my service learning partner works in family law. It's really important that we know more about the causes and effects of why these people are coming in. And so I thought it would be really beneficial for me to learn more about what causes divorce, what causes people to split up even when they have a child, and what can be prevented or what can be changed in order to help this child's life. This will be the outline of my presentation. So I've got perceived responsiveness as my first topic, later a mental and physical illness and developmental disabilities, and then my conclusion. So to begin, perceived responsiveness is one of the most commonly discussed components of why families deteriorate or why families succeed. And perceived responsiveness is exactly what it sounds like. It's how you perceive what somebody else is, how somebody else is responding to what you're saying. For example, if I am talking to my mother after a long day at school, how she is reacting will affect how I continue to talk to her or how I perceive the importance of what I'm speaking about. There's a really cool quote from William L. Cook. He's a professor at New England who studies perceived responsiveness. And I felt like it really kind of nailed down the importance of what this is. And it says it is central to the development of a secure attachment style, the experience of social support, an internal locus of control, and the sense of control in close relationships. And so if a person feels like they are being responded to properly, then they're going to have a more secure attachment style in that relationship. And I do have a diagram here that it shows partner A here and the gratitude expression, and partner B's perceived responsiveness. So partner A is responding to what partner B is saying, and partner B is watching how partner A is responding in order to gauge kind of where their relationship is at, as well as how much they should share. Another thing that is commonly discussed in family deterioration is mental and physical illness. Now, a lot of times these things can't be controlled. However, they can be treated, and how they are treated usually will determine how the family comes out of that mental or physical illness. The main focus of a lot of the research regarding mental and physical illness was the effect that it has on the caretaker, which I thought was interesting. It's not necessarily the ill person, but it's the person that is taking care of the person that is ill. There was a study done by Gabriela Macchio in Brazil, and they studied quite a few families that were struggling with mental and physical illnesses, but specifically physical illness, and interviewed a lot of the caretakers. And it was really interesting that most of these caretakers were surrounded by support of family, and that is why they were able to continue on taking care of the family, and that their problems and their stress didn't bleed into their relationships with other family members. And I think this is really important when trying to keep families together, that the caretaker is also watched out for, and that everybody is in a unified balance within the family so that the family can stay together, because the stress of an illness can truly tear apart and ruin relationships. Another big issue that has had a lot of the spotlight recently are mental illnesses. Mental illnesses are sometimes more difficult within a family because they can't be seen. Whereas a physical illness, you can physically see that the person is ill or that the person is suffering. But with a mental illness, it's kind of harder to understand what that person is going through. I chose to focus on a less well-known mental illness, and it's narcissism. I think anxiety and depression, they are very prevalent and they are very important. However, narcissism is almost just as prevalent, but doesn't get as much research or doesn't get as much of the spotlight. So I chose to focus on that to understand that a little bit more. So narcissism, as many people know, is basically when a person has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. However, they have a very low self-esteem. So I've got a picture here. There's a woman looking in the mirror. So at first glance, it seems as though this woman is very confident and very secure with herself. However, looking in the mirror, realizing that she's really realizing all of her flaws and all of her weaknesses. Now, the problem that narcissism can pose in family dynamics and family relationships is that somebody with narcissism will usually attack somebody who they feel threatened by, or somebody who they feel as though somebody that they feel is going to threaten their ego or their self-esteem, and so they will attack them and tear them down over and over again. Now, imagine just one family member having narcissism and how this could affect relationships. And so it's important, there's not a ton of treatment for narcissism, but it's important to understand what it is and how people act, so that if encountered with somebody in your family or in a relationship that has narcissism, you can understand why they're acting the way that they are, and try not to take as much of offense in order to save that relationship. I see a lot of divorces and separations and dissolution of families because of narcissism, and I think it needs a little bit more research and a little bit more attention in order to be treated. The last thing that I wanted to talk about that is a huge stressor for families and doesn't need to tear apart families but can, is developmental disability. Many children are just born with developmental disabilities, and they often show problems or delays right as soon as they're born, from anywhere from 0 to 3 years old. Dr. Bowers from the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Cincinnati says that 13% of toddlers show a developmental disability, and this was a lot higher than I thought it would be. But there are a myriad of ways to treat and to help these children. However, many parents struggle with how, or many parents struggle with whether or not they should treat it because they don't want their child to be labeled or anything like that. And I don't have children. I can't speak for somebody who has a child with developmental disabilities because I've never experienced that. However, it does show that within Dr. Bauer's research that the most important thing to do with developmental disabilities is to treat it. And as long as family members can do this and can decide on how to treat, then there shouldn't be any cause for deterioration. However, it is shocking how often this will cause a separation of husband and wife or mother and father. I've got this aid here that kind of shows a lot of the problems that can come from developmental disabilities. So you've got motor skills, family dynamics, social skills, sensory sensitivity, so many things that can really cause stress on a parent. And if parents aren't aware of the developmental disabilities and the treatments that are available, then this really could cause some serious problems within the marriage and within the household. Though there are so many other avenues of what causes developmental issues and what causes deterioration in the family, these are some of the major ones that, though we don't realize in the moment that they could be affecting our family or our friends, that they really do. And so the important thing is awareness of what the dangers of this are and how we can prevent them. To conclude, I believe that though there are many mental illnesses and many other problems that can be that can't be treated, we can prevent the deterioration of the family, and hopefully be able to prevent a cycle of continuance of deterioration in future families, and help children that are going through separation of their parents or whatever to get through it and to have a healthy lifestyle afterwards. And that is why I did the research on what I did. And you can see here, these are all of my sources. So, yeah, thanks.